At the end of this month, town meeting members will deliberate on the adoption of the Specialized Stretch Energy Code. This code establishes stricter energy efficiency standards for new constructions, accelerating the transition of houses and buildings away from fossil fuels. Municipal producer Yu Xiaoyuan takes a look at its effect on reducing our carbon footprint and some of the raised concerns.
If approved by town meeting, the new code will take effect on July 1st, 2024. From then on, all newly constructed homes in Needham will be required to either be all-electric or wired for future transition to all-electric systems. This code also mandates new homes powered by fossil fuels must install solar panels with a minimum capacity of 4 kilowatts. Homes larger than 4,000 square feet must have a solar panel system capable of achieving net zero status, meaning the home generates as much energy as it consumes annually. During the Select Board public hearing on Tuesday, October 10th, several local contractors opposed shifting to the new code now, raising issues regarding the uncertain wait times and costs associated with Eversource services.
A lot of these houses, if we do an electric house, the 200 amp service that we were putting in these houses is no longer going to apply. You're going to have to put 400 amp services in the house. And I said this at the last meeting, if I got on a supply house right now and say I want a 400 amp service for the house, they laugh at me and tell me to get on a 16-month wait list. Also, Eversource is going to charge people to upgrade their electric service on the street if it does not comply. So it's another expense that if you're in a street that the transformer has to be changed, you're going to have to foot the bill for that too.
Many residents came forward to support the transition. Leandra McLennan, who converted her 3,500 square foot house to all-electric 11 years ago and installed an 8-kilowatt solar panel, stated the long-term savings on utility bills would outweigh the initial costs.
I have had zero costs for heat and electricity for the last 4 years. And any other year that I've had to pay, it's usually been $50 or $100 in March. I don't see why we can't get more houses. The new houses going up now can't meet this requirement when I did this 11 years ago.
Buildings account for about 64% of Needham's greenhouse gas emissions. The new code will assist the state in achieving net zero emissions by 2050, a goal outlined in the Massachusetts 2021 Climate Act. Locally, Needham formed the Climate Action Plan Committee to develop its own roadmap to achieve net zero emissions. Stephen Friel is the committee chair.
Net zero means that we are essentially putting no new carbon emissions in the atmosphere. So you can do that either by stopping the burning of those carbon emissions, or you can take those carbon emissions and then somehow capture them. In the context of a building, the major sources of carbon emissions are burning of fossil fuels on our heating, for example, or our stoves, or hot water tanks, or through the electricity that is generated often by natural gas.
As the state pushes to decarbonize the electric grid, buildings that rely solely on electricity can eliminate the emissions when electricity comes from renewable sources.
They continue to require the utilities to switch from natural gas plants to what they call Class 1 renewables like solar and wind.
Last October, town meeting authorized the town to negotiate with suppliers offering electricity powered by renewable energy at competitive rates.
Once it is live, Needham residents will have the opportunity to participate in that aggregation and continue to lower the amount of fossil fuels that are coming into their homes through the electricity.
At Tuesday's hearing, Friel described this code as a kind of consumer protection, saying it spares homebuyers the hassles of making upgrades down the road.
What this does is it really makes sure that at the point in time when the walls are open, when it's the easiest time to put all electric in, that they consider it. That's all it does. All it does is say, you have the option of putting fossil fuels in, you can do that. But you need to wire it today so that a future homeowner doesn't have to go through that process.
Additionally, under the new code, multifamily buildings over 12,000 square feet must comply with the Passive House standards. A Passive House certificate is granted to houses that focus on dramatic reduction of energy use for space heating and cooling.
It's all about the envelope, reducing the energy intensity of the house. so that you don't really need a lot of energy at all to heat and cool it.
According to Passive House Massachusetts, a passive house can reduce over 90% energy use for space conditioning and more than 60% overall. If Needham were to embrace multifamily zoning in line with the state MBTA community law, Friel says the new code could ensure the high energy efficiency of future large-scale projects.
Again, like the best time to make those homes all electric and efficient is when they're built.
The Select Board will take its position on whether to recommend adopting the new code at its next meeting on October 24th. On October 4th, the Finance Committee voted against recommending adoption. For Needham Channel News, I'm Yu Xiaoyuan.